Are you struggling to sell your products or services? You get told no a bunch. Maybe you feel just absolutely embarrassed by the fact that you have this incredible product or service, but people just aren't buying it. They're not buying it fast enough. If you feel this way, this video is for you. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jennifer Waters. I've scaled multiple businesses past 7 figures. My first brick and mortar business, I did it by the age of 23. It took me about 4.5 years from the time I started to the time it crossed the 7-figure threshold. My second 7-figure business, I actually cut that time down to 2 years. Now, just for context, most businesses, it takes at least 10 years before they ever cross that 7-figure threshold. One of the main reasons I was able to do it the first time at 23 years old was because I got really great at sales. And the reason why I was able to cut it down to only 2 years with the second business is, again, because I had improved my sales skills even more. So I'm going to share with you some secrets that are going to help you in your business. So as you try to continue moving up to a high 6-figure business or even a 7-figure business, you will unlock this one piece that is going to help you more than any other piece of your business, and that's mastering sales. So the first thing that you have to do is you need to understand we want to create what I call the 3D sales framework. Now, this is something that I teach my clients, especially when we're working with them to build out their client conversion engine. When we have the 3D sales framework, we're not just looking at it as like sales is black or white. It's just I do one thing and I get another. That's kind of like the 2D version, right? It's very linear. 3D sales means there's a lot of depth to this model that we're talking about. I break it down into this section. The first is discovery. The second is going to be diagnosis. And the third is going to be delivery. And these are really easy to remember. It's not like 7 steps or 10 steps. If you follow these 3 steps, you're going to close more deals. So make sure you listen up. When it comes to discovery, however you're having a conversation with this person or engaging with this person, you have to find out a couple of things. You have to find out what is it that they need? Why are they looking into your product or your service? I know you might be thinking, okay, Jennifer, what does this exactly mean? Like, someone's just coming to me because they want me to pressure wash their sidewalk. How do I need to look at their needs, their wants? What does that even mean? Why do they want you to pressure wash their sidewalk? What is urgent about this? Is it just because it's part of their every year spring cleaning or winter cleaning that they're doing their house? Or is it because they have a party coming up and they want their sidewalks to look pristine? They want the outside of their house to look amazing so they don't feel embarrassed by the guests that are looking at their house. There's a reason why someone is wanting, in particular, a service or a product. And those reasons usually boil down to either I need it, like I just got cut on my arm, I need to stop the bleeding, I need to get a Band-Aid, right? Something like that, like I need it. Or it's more of a want. I think I would want this thing because it's going to improve my life. And most of the time, when I talk with business owners, we're not actually asking the right questions to discover what is the reason why this person would actually want to utilize my service or to buy my product. So in the beginning, when you're laying this out for yourself, you have to figure out where you are going to have that conversation. Is it going to be something where you're going to ask a bunch of questions like in an application form? For example, for my online service friends, maybe you have an application to work with you. You got to ask those questions in that application in order to get the answers out, but not only just to get the answers out, to drive it so that the person who's having to take the time to think about the answers to those questions is actually going, you know what? You're right. I haven't really thought about this before, but that would be really great if this solution could solve this problem. So I'm pulling out those desires. I'm pulling out those wants. I'm looking at what fears they have, because the fears that they have are going to show up later, especially after I talk with them about the price. If I don't start addressing the fears now and how my solution can overcome those fears. So I've got to think about all of those things, and I've got to ask very important questions in the discovery. This part, when I've worked with a lot of business owners, they gloss over and they think that it's 2 or 3 questions like, oh, how did you find out about us? What are the main benefits that you're interested in? Is there something that specifically you're looking for? Might be another way that they ask it. And that's it. Very, very surface level. If you really want to get great at mastering sales, if you want to increase the amount of revenue that's coming in your business, you or your sales team has to dig deeper. We have to start asking additional questions. When someone gives us that first surface level answer to the question that we ask them, the next question is, why is that important to you? Or in what way would that make your life better? These types of second tier questions, the deeper questions, are going to open up the door to a more conversational selling process. Nobody likes to be around someone where they feel like they're being hard pressure sold into what it is that they need to buy. They don't like that feeling. Now, sometimes people will buy, but your refund requests, your chargebacks, all that's going to go up because they felt pressured to make a decision and they had buyer's remorse. Instead, if we can make it more conversational, instead of confronting this person, now we can align ourselves with this person. And now we're just asking, hey, there's this road ahead of us. Is there a reason why you're on the road too with me? Those are the types of questions that we want to ask. Once we've asked all these discovery questions, then we move on to the next piece, which is we have to diagnose the problem that they have in front of them. So what do I mean by this? They're coming to us because they have a problem. And there's two types of people. There's a type of person who understands and realizes that they have a problem. You're probably going to sell that person anyway because they already came to you. They already knew my hair's too long. I have dead ends. I need a haircut. It's done. And they may be going, and I need all these extra things, and I want the shampoo, and I want the thing that you're upselling me, blah, blah, blah. They already are going to buy. You literally are just a cashier. That's not the vast majority of sales. The vast majority of sales aren't cashier related sales. It's a consultative process. I have to go through and I have to talk with this person, engage them in conversation. But many times this person doesn't even understand the depth of what it is that they're dealing with. If you go out to a home and you do some sort of home inspection, homeowner may be looking at the surface level. I know when I was going to buy homes that I've bought in the past, it looked great on the outside until a home inspector got in there. And once the home inspector was like, hey, you've got termites here, you've got this issue here, you're going to have to replace that there. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't buy this house because it looks great on the outside, but on the inside, there's some real key pieces here that I'm going to have some issues with if I don't take action or if I'm not aware. And that's what you're going to be to the person who's sitting across from you. You're going to say, look, these are the issues that you are currently dealing with. And if you don't take action, here's what could happen. That's what the home inspector did for me. I could still buy the house. It's up to me if I buy the house, or I could say no to the house, but at least I knew what was happening, what was going on, and what I would need to do next. Now, when you diagnose the problem for this person, you say, hey, for example, for my martial arts business, I might say, hey, based off of what you said and based off of how your child just did in this introductory and evaluation experience, I could see how they're really going to need help with focus because it was a little bit everywhere. And part of the challenge is if we don't start addressing this now with his focus at 7 years old, by the time he's in 4th or 5th grade, it's going to become a real challenge. You're probably going to receive more notices from the teacher. You may even have to seek out additional ways for him to learn how to channel that energy and also learn to be able to control his impulses. And we've seen kids, especially at that age, when they're 4th or they're 5th grade and they're dealing with these things, they usually do one of two things. They go internal and they internalize everything, and it creates a sadness and a frustration, or they externalize it and they can become angry. They can become explosive with others. That's a huge diagnosis that I just did based off of what I saw in that introduction evaluation lesson. But the reality is I have to educate the person who's sitting across from me on all the things that I know. Remember, I walked into the home and I thought it was great because I looked at the outside of it and I looked at it, but the home inspector's like, nah, you got all these other things. I didn't know, right? And then likewise, once I can diagnose all of those things, now I can go from, hey, you got to be careful because all these things are happening, to delivering my solution. My solution fixes the diagnosis. If you go to the doctor says, hey, look, your cholesterol is high, your blood pressure's through the roof, blah, 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 blah. Man, this is tough. This is a bad problem. And then the doctor says, but I have this solution right here. You can take this medication and none of these issues are going to be an issue anymore. We're not getting into healthcare and all that. I'm not doing that in this video, but you can understand there is a solution. There is something that can solve the problems. Many of you don't close sales because you try to go from discovery to delivery and you never had the diagnosis in the middle. You never properly diagnosed what was actually happening with this person and the cost of their inaction. If they're to do nothing, what's it going to cost them? And because they don't perceive the cost of their inaction, they're okay with staying where they are. But part of your job is to be able to help showcase you can't just stay where you are, because if you do, X, Y, and Z is going to happen. So that means you must move forward. And if you move forward, you don't have to do it alone. You can do it with my solution. And that's when you move into delivery. So what is delivery exactly? Delivery is where we go through and we stack value over the things that we're going to be using to fulfill and solve the problem from the diagnosis. With delivery, many times, and this used to happen to me, I used to think about it, it's all the features and the benefits. And it's not. People don't buy features and benefits, they buy solutions to their problems. So anything that you put over here in the delivery, like we're going to deliver this and we're going to deliver that and we're going to do this and we're going to promise you that, has to tie back to something that they are experiencing problem with. And you need to know that in your conversation, how you're framing it. So I don't need to create a unique or delivery mechanism for every single person that is coming into my ecosystem. But that unique delivery mechanism has to apply for all the situations that are coming into my business. And this is why if you have a very broad business and you haven't gone all in on your first 7 figures with going through and one product and one avatar, it becomes really challenging because you have to create multiple products to solve the problems that are in front because you're speaking to so many different people. So in the beginning, if you haven't hit 7 figures first, figure out who you're selling to, figure out what their problems are, and create your unique solution until you've gotten to that 7 figures. Then you can start expanding out into other branches or other verticals because you've got this one nailed down. It's a verified product that you can go and you can say, you know what, every single time I present this, I have statistics that say that I always close this percentage. It's verified. So my delivery mechanisms that I have over here should solve the major 2 to 3 things that this person is dealing with. I like two major things that this person is dealing with. And then a third thing that this person may not have even thought about that I'm thinking about that they're going to need. And then that's going to build their trust in me. Like if you were to go to a car mechanic, for example, and you built a lot of great trust with this car mechanic and you really implicitly trust this person, and then they diagnose what's going on with your car, and then they give you the solutions to it, and they say, oh, by the way, I know you're not thinking about this right now, and we don't have to do this right now, but if you go ahead and you do this and we change out this piece of your engine, then you're not going to have to deal with this in 3 more months because it is going to come up. You're going to be right back here. I'm going to save you the service fee of coming back an additional time and just throw in the labor and the parts for this thing. So you can see how if I go ahead and I have at least 2 things that solve the problem plus another thing that maybe they weren't thinking about, that it's going to help me build that trust. And this all happens before I deliver the price. I like connecting what the thing is, those mechanisms, and how much they would cost if I were to splinter them out. If I were to say, if you were to buy this alone, it would cost this much. And if you were to buy this alone, it would cost this much. And if you were to buy this alone, it would cost this much. And the reason why is because we have to do what's called price anchoring. You see, I'm going to come in and I'm going to make some assumptions, but my assumptions are probably going to be bad. So if you've ever had somebody come back to you and they're like, wow, I just had no idea it was going to be so expensive, it's because the price that they anchored in their head was something that they had heard or seen somewhere else. This used to happen all the time to us in the martial arts business because people would be like, oh, I heard it was like $50 a month. And we might've been charging at the time like $150 or something like that. So it was 3 or 4 times more expensive, 5 times more expensive than what they were expecting. And that's because we weren't anchoring the price. We weren't saying, hey, by the way, this thing that we're going to be helping your kid out with is actually valued at $1,000. Oh, $1,000. Whoa. Now I've anchored the price. So anything that I'm coming underneath that is going to feel to that person like, oh, wow, I don't have to pay that full amount. It's valued to that. I don't have to pay that. I only have to pay this. And that person is going to feel like a victor, like they got a deal, like they made a great decision. Think about this. Whenever you've gone to the grocery store, or maybe you've tried to buy a vehicle before and it was like, this is the actual price. And then they slash the price and underneath it is a discounted price. You're like, I got to take advantage of that. I got to do that now. I'm not saying that you need to change your pricing of the thing it is that you're selling, of the package that you're selling. What I am saying is that you need to make sure that you anchor those prices very strategically so that when you do deliver your price, you can say, hey, this thing is valued. I'm going to come up with something. This thing is valued at $5,000, but today you only have to pay $2,000, right? It was worth five. I only have to pay two, or maybe I only have to pay $700. Wow. That's a big discrepancy right there. Okay, I'll go ahead and take the thing. Now, when you're coming up with pricing, it's very important that you get three things really in line in order to make sure you make a profit, because chasing revenue is vanity. Chasing profit is sanity. So if you want to know how you can be able to make sure that you can make profit based off of your pricing, make sure you click this video right here.